Well, if you're just one of the few people around the CBDs across the country at the moment, you can pretty much tell straight away that it's empty out there. Some stats say that CBDs are running at just 25% of usual capacity seen before the pandemic. So it's the case that employers' reluctance to have their staff return. Let's get his thoughts as to what's going on. Joydeep Hor from People and Culture Strategies joins us on the program. Joydeep, my mate and myself here, we're in the office, you're in the office, but we're few and far between.
We absolutely are. We're keeping the economy alive and thriving, an important responsibility. But look, it's quite concerning, and I think there are a lot of employers who we're talking to at the moment who are very undecided. Some of the resolve that I think a lot of them had towards the end of last year that they would, or certainly probably more November of last year, that 2022 was going to be the year of as much normality as possible, people working at most at hybrid, but the lion's share of people really returning to their primary place of work. We're just not seeing that, and the evidence is so real and so palpable for those of us who are coming into to the CBD. It is a ghost town, and a lot of that usually stops when school holidays end, and that happened this week, and there's been very little change.
So Jody, what are some of the issues that employers are grappling with at the moment, getting those staff back to the office?
Well, I think the biggest challenge for employers has been the uncertainty. And I know we keep talking about the uncertainty, and it's been uncertainty for 2 years. And that's probably the only thing that is certain, that there's going to be ongoing uncertainty. But employers are reluctant to be seen to be forcing an issue where it could be coming across to their workforce that they are potentially compromising the safety of those workers, that they are potentially being cavalier, that they are potentially coming across as putting their own commercial interests ahead of those safety and welfare interests of their staff. In the back of the minds of a lot of employers is the concern that the talk of the Great Resignation, the challenges of retaining people, staff dissatisfaction and all of those kinds of things, are they going to be exacerbated if you are seen to be taking a hard line on returning people to the usual working environment and place? So these are the things, but these aren't things that are being articulated by employers, and this is probably, I think, what's contributing to a lot more of the angst within the employment relationship in a lot of organisations.
It's also having a major impact on CBD economies. We can walk around here and in the Sydney CBD, a lot of shops are already closed down, a lot of that are open, are very, very empty at the moment. When do we go and start to get really concerned about it, or has that point already been reached?
Well, I think that point has already been reached. I mean, talking to a number of business owners around town, it's extremely sad. As a business owner myself, I mean, you feel for these organisations who, sure, in the past 2 years have had the benefit of government support through JobKeeper and JobSaver and support throughout the course of 2021. All of that is pretty much gone. Even the kinds of things that are being spoken about at the moment are not going to scratch the surface. And most of these business owners are saying, look, rent is the biggest problem. They're not really getting the support that they need on that front. The numbers that they're talking about from people I'm speaking to reflects the kind of capacity levels in the CBD. So people are talking about doing sort of 20% of their usual business. They simply will not be able to survive. And I do think that for organisations and employers, and particularly larger employers in Australia, for all of the talk and chest beating that is made in relation to corporate social responsibility, I actually challenge those organisations to think about their corporate social responsibility to other businesses and their corporate social responsibility to the economy, and not put their own interests and how they might be branded or perceived as an employer ahead of that critical responsibility that I think all businesses and all business owners have to look after each other. And that's ultimately what keeps people in employment. That's what keeps the economy thriving. And I just challenge employers to think a little bit more broadly rather than just about that very narrow-minded, what kind of employer do we want to be, and just focusing purely on the employment relationship aspects of it. Because what they will find as a result of it is that people will respect them more for taking that responsibility seriously. And the morale impact, I think, of that for those few organisations that are starting to do it has already been extremely positive. People are not expressing regret about coming back, so long as there's some flexibility that's going to be there. They're actually enjoying it.
Joydeep, just quickly before you go, do you think governments need to be doing more?
I do. I think that if we're serious about realising the flow-on effect economically for people working from home, and I appreciate the upside is that there are businesses in suburban areas that might be doing better as a result of it, but certainly that catastrophic effect that's going to happen on a lot of CBD businesses. I think the governments need to think more laterally about how do you actually incentivate employers to have people return to the workplace. And there's lots that can be done in that particular space. And I think governments need to be a little bit more creative in relation to that. We know the commitment to ensuring economic stability and recovery is there, but the way that thinking translates into decisions made about how employers interact with their workforce, over and above the health and safety considerations, which are a given, is an area where I think governments have a lot more work to do.